You guys, this happens to me all the time. I'll have a really good day, like a genuinely good day. I'm in a good mood. I'm not feeling stressed. I feel pretty chill. And I think, okay, today I'm going to plan. I'm going to plan my week, and this is going to be awesome. So I sit down, planner open, favorite pen in hand, and then out of nowhere, my body goes, nope. My heart rate jumps for no reason. I look at my watch and I'm like, why is my heart rate in the 90s? I am literally sitting down. My chest feels tight. My jaw is clenched. My leg starts bouncing under the table like it's trying to escape the situation without me. And the weirdest part is my brain does this thing where it's empty and overloaded at the same time. You ever had that happen to you? I'm staring at the page thinking, I don't know what to write, but also I know exactly what to write. There's just too much. Emails I haven't answered, things I forgot to do, things I haven't yet remembered that I already forgot to do, stuff coming up next week, conversations I need to have, goals I said I cared about and now feel guilty even thinking about because I haven't started them. It's like everything is shouting at me at once, and I can't grab a single thing long enough to write it down. And then suddenly, my brain is flipping out. All of the inside out characters in my mind are running around in circles with their hands in the air, screaming. I start scanning for exits. Maybe I should get water. Maybe I should sit somewhere else. Maybe I should get something stronger than water. Maybe I should just go downstairs and watch TV and call it a night. But here's the thing. I know I can't do that. I can't do any of those things. I know I won't actually relax if I do those things because I will know I didn't plan my week. So now I'm stuck. I don't want to plan, and I don't want to not plan. So both options feel bad. In moments like this, I remember thinking, this is so dumb. I wanted to do this. I literally planned time for this. This is supposed to help me. In fact, I've done this before and I have noticed that it does help me. So, why now is my whole nervous system acting like I'm being chased by a murderer with a knife? And then that's when my shame friend creeps in. Why can't you just do this, Candace? This is not that hard. You're making this such a big deal. What is wrong with you? If you've ever sat down to plan with the best intentions and felt your whole body revolt before your brain could even explain why, before your seat could even get warm from you sitting in it, that moment right there, that's what we're talking about today.
You're managing what you always do, but your brain feels scattered and you just can't seem to pull it together. The Busy Brain Do-Over from Steady State Co. is your space to recover, reset, and restart, proud of how you show up again. Because you're not the problem, and you're not alone. Here, you'll find real tools and honest conversations to help you feel capable, steady, and like yourself again. Here's your host, Candace David, a fellow busy brain who believes life doesn't have to run perfectly to run well.
What's happening in moments like that isn't laziness. It's not a lack of discipline. And it's definitely not because you just don't want it badly enough. What you just heard is what it can feel like when a busy brain runs into planning without safety. Because planning isn't neutral for brains like ours. To your nervous system, planning isn't just writing things down, it's confrontation, it's visibility, it's accountability, it's every loose end dropped ball, an unfinished thing suddenly being brought into the light. So even when you want to plan, even when you've looked forward to it, your body can interpret that moment as a threat. That's why your heart rate jumps. That's why your chest tightens. That's why your brain goes blank and overloaded at the same time. Your nervous system is saying, hold on, this feels like too much. And here's the part that matters most: that response doesn't mean planning is bad for you. It means your brain is trying to protect you from overwhelm and shame. Most people assume that when planning feels awful, it means I'm bad at this. I need more willpower. But for busy brains, including ADHD brains, the problem usually isn't planning itself. It's how and when planning is happening. Planning asks your brain to hold multiple time horizons at once, evaluate unfinished tasks, make decisions, imagine future consequences, all at the same time. That's a lot. So when you sit down to plan without first helping your brain feel regulated and supported, your nervous system hits that panic button. Not because you're broken, but because your brain is doing its job, keeping you safe. So if you've ever wondered, why does planning make me anxious instead of calmer? Or why do I avoid the very thing that's supposed to help? This is why. Hi, fellow busy brains. If this episode already feels a little too relatable, make sure you're following the show so your next do over is waiting for you when you need it. And if you're already part of this community, thank you. Truly, you are the reason more people are realizing they're not broken, their brains are just a little busy. Hit follow so you don't miss the next do over we'll do together. So, if your body has ever said absolutely not the moment you sat down to plan, let's talk about what to do right there in that moment. That's what this week's do over is about. I call it the planning safety do over. It's not about fixing your planning system, it's about changing what you do before you try to plan. Here's how it works. Step one, name what's happening out loud. The next time you sit down to plan and your body reacts, your chest tightens, your thoughts scatter, you suddenly want to escape the room, instead of pushing through or spiraling into self criticism, I want you to name what's actually happening out loud if you can. Say, my brain thinks planning is unsafe right now, or my brain is kind of freaking out right now about planning. That matters more than it sounds like it does. From a nervous system perspective, naming what's happening does matter. When something feels threatening, our brains tend to move into shame responses. And when something triggers shame, most of us default to our automatic reactions. We either avoid, we attack ourselves, or we try to force our way through. Naming what's happening shifts you out of that shame and into information. It creates just enough space so that you are not at the mercy of the reaction. Step two, shrink the task. Instead of asking yourself, how do I plan my whole week? Which is a lot for a nervous system that's already on edge, ask a different question. What is the smallest version of planning my brain can tolerate right now? Not the ideal version, not the Instagram version, the tolerable version. Maybe that's writing down one thing. Maybe it's setting a 5-minute timer and seeing what you can get done in those 5 minutes. Maybe it's opening your planner and then closing it again. Here's an important reframe: stopping early isn't avoidance, it's building tolerance. When a brain feels overwhelmed, asking it to do everything only increases that threat. Shrinking the task reduces the load and increases your sense of control. This will help calm your nervous system down. Stopping early isn't avoidance, it's building tolerance. Step 3, change the goal. The goal is not clarity. The goal is not a perfectly planned week. Who has those anyway? The goal is safety. Because planning only works when your brain believes it's helping, not when it feels like a confrontation with everything you haven't done. So if your body feels even a little less tense when you're done, even 2% less tense, that counts. That's progress. Planning that feels unsafe will always trigger avoidance. Planning that feels supportive builds trust. And trust, not discipline, is what actually makes planning sustainable. Here's your permission slip. You're allowed to avoid planning sometimes without making that mean you don't care. Avoidance isn't proof that you're lazy, unmotivated, or incapable. It's often a sign that your brain is trying to protect you from overwhelm, pressure, or shame. You're allowed to acknowledge that planning feels hard, even when you know it helps. Knowing something is good for you doesn't automatically make your nervous system feel safe doing it. You're allowed to stop using procrastination as evidence against yourself. Putting planning off doesn't mean you don't want a better life. It usually means the cost of engaging has felt higher than your brain could tolerate in that moment. You're allowed to be a person who cares deeply and struggles to plan. Those two things are not opposite. They often live in the same place. And you're allowed to learn how to make planning feel safer, gentler, and more supportive, instead of forcing yourself through it with guilt and pressure. If planning has been something you avoid, dread, or beat yourself up over, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means your brain is asking for a different approach. And that is something you can learn. If this episode hits close to home, especially that moment where your body pushes back before your brain can even explain why, you might want to listen to episode 13, when you thought this would help more than it did. And if nights are where this all tends to unravel, episode 11 goes deeper into what busy brains need in order to actually shut down. You don't need to listen to them right now, just know they're there when you need them. If you've been listening and thinking, ugh, I need this kind of reminder more than once a week, I've got you. Join my newsletter, The Weekly Do-Over. It's my short midweek note that drops right when life starts spinning again. Part pep talk, part permission slip, all real life. You'll get practical encouragement, behind-the-scenes stories, and simple resets that actually fit your busy brain. Go to mybusybrain.com/join, because waiting until next week to get grounded again is way too long. All right, my fellow busy brain friends, take a breath, give yourself a little grace, and remember, you can always start again. That's what a do-over really is. Not perfection, just permission. Talk soon.